Hello, beautiful people. I am thinking about pulling all of my music off of streaming platforms, specifically Spotify. And I know that sounds crazy. That sounds, Alecia, where else are you going to put your music? I don't know yet. I have no idea. But what I do know is that this is not working. This is not working. And I've been thinking about this for a minute. I was journaling about this on July 30th of this year about why I'm thinking about pulling my music from Spotify. And I've been thinking about it because how else am I going to get my music out there? How else are people going to find me? People talk about Spotify being a discovery tool. We're going to get to that in a second because not no more. So yeah, I'm also confused. I also don't know what else there is to do, but I know that this is not working. And it's interesting because the more that I sat on this and like, okay, maybe I'll think about it. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I just kept getting more and more confirmation from other musicians and other music people who review music, right? And so the most recent video that I watched was from a video by a girl named Kara. And forgive me if I'm saying her name wrong, but it's Karra. And the video is entitled, I invested $100,000 to create my album and Spotify deleted it. Mind you, so she spent $100,000, which sounds ridiculous. But when you factor in like high quality things that you need for an album, right? The album itself, the writing, if you're writing with other writers, paying them, mixing, producing, people who are making the music underneath of the words of the song, people who are mixing and mastering, right? People who are recording videos for her. She did a whole rollout for because Spotify told her to put out this video on the back of her songs. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but sometimes when you listen to Spotify, it'll play like a video in the background. That costs money to make. Artists have to pay videographers and editors and photographers, right? It's very easy to quickly rack up on the cost it takes to promote an album. That's why y'all don't see a lot from me, because I ain't got money for that right now. You feel me? Like I don't have the budget to record a music video. I don't have a budget for people to mix and master my music. I do everything from scratch by myself. You know what I mean? I make my own album covers. I'm also a photographer, right? So thankfully, I've acquired skills along the way in my creative journey that have helped me with my artistry, right? But for most people who don't have those skills, i.e. photography or videography or whatever, I don't even have videography skills. I have enough to do this, you know? But like for people who don't have those skills, they have to pay someone. Do y'all hear that? I'm hearing this, the clicking of my earrings. I hope you can hear it. It sounds like what beads sounded like when I used to have braids. Obviously, I have not had it in a long time. And also shout out to the cicadas giving us a soundtrack for the end of summer. Yeah, the sun is shining, and whenever the sun shines, they start lighting up. And I think that's so cute. It's so cute. It's like, oh, they're like the sun. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. So yes. Yes. So where do we even begin with this conversation? So why did I think about pulling my music from Spotify? Okay, so I recently released a video. Oh, wait, let me go back to the Kara girl. Hold on. Okay. So the Kara girl, or Kara, put in $100,000 for her music video, right? Guess how much money she made from streaming and having one song placed in a show? Guess. I'll give you a second. She made $3,390.24. After investing $100,000 in it, she made $3,000 before the placement, she got paid $2,000 for that, right? She only made $1,390. Yeah. So she invested a lot of money, followed all the rules, did all the things that Spotify said to do, right? Put the video together, have a polished, professional looking platform, profile so people will follow you, have your bio, blah, blah, blah. And she made $3,000. $3,000 after investing $100,000. And she's a popular artist, more popular than I am. Okay. So let's start there. I released an album called Sunday. Thank you so much for listening to it. I'm very proud of that album. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't put it on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, because I'm proud of my music. The album Sunday is inspired by my grandmother, right? It's inspired by the music that I love. It's inspired by people that I love, ancestors who have gone on, right? And I didn't feel good about putting my music on a platform that doesn't value music itself. The CEO of Spotify, Daniel Ek, he's a millionaire, multimillionaire, hundred millionaire, right? While paying the artists that make him money fractions of pennies. I've said this before that Spotify pays artists between 0.002 cent and 0.005 cent. I feel like I'm around the 0.003, 0.004, but either way, it's still a fraction of a penny per stream, right? And Daniel Ek has also said that we are getting into an age now where it costs artists nothing to create. Said no artist ever. No artist will ever tell you it cost me nothing to make this. Unless their goal is money, which means that they're bypassing the actual creative process, maybe using AI. And again, we'll get to that in a second because I got notes. Okay, I had to get a sticky note and write down some other thoughts that I had because I didn't write them in my notes in my notebook. But yes, Daniel Ek, the CEO of a company that platforms art, says that it costs artists nothing to make art, which means that he doesn't know any artists. He's not connected to any artists. The reason why artists are touring right now is because there's no money to be made by selling music. I think about Mary J. Blige, love her down, okay? But I think about her in her boots, dancing on that stage like she don't want to be there. And she probably doesn't want to be there. She's probably forced to tour because she's not making any money in music, even though she's a legend in our eyes, even though she has more than paid her dues, right? Because of unfair contracts and because of these platforms, i.e. Spotify, Apple Music, these artists cannot rest. They cannot actually sit and rest in their art and rest in the safety of being cared for, because artists out here, whether they're actors, writers, producers, crew folk, they're not getting paid. All of these corporations and these companies are enslaving people to make money for their plantation, right? And saying that's the same, it costs me nothing to make this. Meanwhile, how many people does it take to make a movie? Have you sat to the end of credits? I have, especially like animated movies. There are so many people involved in that production. That is not free. You might be underpaying them and it might feel free to you because you have money. Of course, there's a siren. I'm sorry, y'all. Emergencies have to happen. People have to be cared for. I'm so sorry if that, bothers you. But yeah, like it may have cost you nothing because you steal wages, right? Like you're a wage thief. You're a wage thief, right? Like, so for you, it feels like the CEO, it cost you nothing, but that's because you're paying people fractions of pennies to make you rich. Okay, let me not get ahead of myself. I have notes. Here we go. So why I'm thinking about removing my music. I hope they're okay. Why I'm thinking about removing, it sounds close. Hold on. Okay, it kept driving. Okay, cool. So why I'm thinking about pulling my music from Spotify. I released Sunday an album I'm very proud of. Sorry, I'll keep hearing the sirens. I released Sunday an album I'm very proud of. And I just could not. I know people were asking me, oh, when are you going to put it on the streaming platform? I don't think that I am. I don't. This project is very personal to me, and it just felt like a slap in my grandmother's face to put that album on there inspired by her to only make pennies, fractions of pennies per stream, when there's so much love and care and storytelling and my grandmother's essence in that song. You know what I mean? And so that, it just felt gross. It felt gross, and that was a spark for me to be like, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should no longer put my music on Spotify because it's no longer fulfilling me. It's no longer fulfilling my needs either, right? Like, I love the art that I make, but yeah, a girl got to eat, and making 0.004 cent per stream is not doing anything for me. Let me explain to you how many streams I need. If I'm making 0.004, let's be generous, 0.004 cent. Let's see how many streams I need to make $1,000. So we're going to do 1,000 divided by 0.004, right? I don't know if y'all can see this. Hold on. I'm just going to read it to you. I need 250,000 streams to make $1,000. I'm a small artist. I don't have 250,000 people listening to my music. Don't even have 50,000 people listening to my music. On a good day, maybe like 2,000 or 3,000. You feel me? And I don't think that should mean that I shouldn't be able to eat tonight. I don't think that because only 1,000 people listen to my music, which is a big deal, by the way. Think about if you sold an album for $20, right? and 1,000 people bought that. That's $20,000 that you're missing out on as an artist because we're streaming our music. And they've almost forced us in a way to not have a choice, that this is par for the course. They have trained the consumer, and I'm using consumer specifically for a reason. They've trained the consumer to consume the artist, not appreciate them, not support them or understand. Sounds like it's close. Okay. Yeah, they've trained the consumer to consume the artist, right? It's almost like they've created a buffet. A buffet. When you go to a buffet, and I don't go to buffets often because I don't like them. And I also, I don't know, the energy behind them feels weird. And then like, I don't know, it's a lot going on in there. But when you think about going to a buffet, do you really go to the buffet because the food is good? Maybe. Possibly, right? Depends on what kind of buffet, what kind. I'm not talking about the high, the brunch. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Golden Corral. I'm talking about your random Asian carryout, right? Like down the street. You're not necessarily going there for the taste of the food. You're going there for sustenance and because it's cheap and you can keep eating, right? These platforms are the same way. It's like a buffet. It's not necessarily specialized for artists and for people who like art. It's specialized for people who want to quickly consume. Now we're going to talk about AI for a second. This is probably going to be a long conversation, so buckle up, friends. Okay, buckle in. Okay, so AI. Spotify has become very, very, very sneaky, and I don't like it. So back in the day, as an artist, your goal was to get on playlists. Why? Because if your playlist, if your song was curated, was added to a curated playlist based on a mood or a theme or a genre, right? Or whatever the playlist creator is basing that playlist on, that gives you the opportunity to be seen by more people. More people are introduced to your music, you're seen, and some people have people pay these what do you call them? I just said it. These playlist makers, right? To get their music involved online, right? Now, I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. All this noise is like really distracting me. I might have to close this window. Hold on one sec. I'm gonna close the window. So back in the day, your goal was to get on a playlist, so that people will be able to see you and basically like taste you and be like, oh, period. Who is this artist? Let me go see them. I found other artists that way too, right? Now, no more. Now, Spotify is creating its own AI artists. Spotify is creating their own AI artists. What does that mean? We don't know. Basically they're using AI to make art for their own platform. Follow me here. They're using AI because they don't value art. They don't actually value music, and they don't incentivize artists to create because you keep them broke. So they're not going to make you music. Now you're lacking music. They're not lacking music, by the way. You're lacking music, and now you're creating AI music, right, as filler content. So they don't see music as art. They see music as content, and that's when it gets dangerous. Music is not content. Music is music. Music is not just water filling a cup. I wish I had an example. Oh, here we go. This is not like, music is not water, right? Filling a cup just for the sake of it being filled. But for Spotify, it is, right? For their pockets, it is. And so basically, they're creating their own AI artists and their own AI music. Yes. So for them, you're just in their cup. This is Spotify to them, right? And what's shaking in here is water. But like for you, your music is just water to them. It's just something to fill the container. You can't see it. It doesn't really matter, right? It's just something heavy that fills the container. So they're creating AI artists to create AI music to fill their platforms, i.e. their playlists. I was sleeping and I listened to a playlist called Sleepy Jazz or something like that. And I noticed that the music was unsettling. It didn't feel like jazz music. It didn't feel normal. Looked into the Spotify playlist, clicked the artist, went down to the artist's page, and there's no bio, right? And that's always a dead giveaway. All the albums look the same, right? And they just started performing in 2024, but somehow I have 130 something million monthly listeners. Please make that make sense. Then they punish artists for using AI. So they're hypocrites too. Okay, so So that's something that I noticed, and I think that was one of the things that I was like, I don't like where we're going here. And then I also didn't like that the CEO said that it costs artists nothing to make music. Okay, so the CEO is not art-centric, but business by any means necessary. So he doesn't care about art. He obviously doesn't know what art costs to make. He doesn't, like, he's so detached. He's just a CEO. And this goes into the phrase that people have been using, cyber feudalism, right? These are just people who own property on the internet and make money from the people working the land of that property. Like, right, exactly. Okay, so Daniel Ek doesn't care as long as he's making money and the people who are supporting the platform are making money, right? He doesn't care about the artist, even though he's hustling backwards again, which is the theme of America, right? Let's enslave and overwork people and then punish them when they're not as creative or productive for us. That doesn't make any sense, right? Cool. Also, he's using money we make them with our music for war, violence, and investing in weaponry. So if you haven't heard, the CEO of Spotify is using his money, his hundreds of millions of dollars, to invest in AI weaponry. That is not what I create my music for. I'm also anti-war, right? Like, so it feels wrong. It feels wrong to host my music somewhere that celebrates getting wealthy off of the death of people. Having a conscience like that is scary. Having a make money by any means necessary, having somebody that's that ambitious is dangerous. The ambitions of men is dangerous. It's dangerous. They are willing to do anything to get wealthy or anything to look like Big Bro to their other podcast bros, fin bros, whatever the heck this week, right? Like, it's like this competition between all these white men, all these white wealthy men, right? And they're using us as the currency. They're using us as the capital. We are the capital. It's enslavement all over again, right? It's sharecropping all over again. You're renting space, you're working that space, and you're getting paid pennies for that space that you work. Even though, and again, going back to the conversation with Vitamin/Level Up Single Mom, I'm gonna put the link in the description for our conversation. It was great. It was about artistry and money and all this other stuff and dreams and hopes and fears, just all the things. And one thing I said to her was, we were talking about how people say that like music is not worth anything. And I don't understand how people can say that in good faith. But money is obviously worth something when the CEO of Spotify is $100 millionaire, right? Are we okay? Like, the money in his pocket is from the artists and the musicians. Like, that's how he's wealthy. That's how he's wealthy. Okay. The next thing, it is an unethical business model. At the end of the day, Spotify and a lot of these streaming services have an unethical, including YouTube, shout out to YouTube, has an unethical business model. What is the business model? Again, 0.004 cent each stream. And then if you don't get 1,000 streams as an independent artist or a smaller artist, you don't get no money. That's right. If you get 999 streams, you don't get the money you made. You don't get that 0.004 cent. Let me see how much that actually is. I got to do the math because that's not a lot. So 0.004 times 999 equals, that's $3. That is, so that y'all know I'm not playing with y'all. That's $3 and $4. Let's round up. That's $4. So your little $4, you're not even going to see unless you get 1,000 views. 1,000 listens. So what does that mean? Where does the money go? Does it just disappear and try again next month? Absolutely not. You know what happens? They give that money, that $4, to bigger artists to incentivize them to stay here. So they're using your art, the money you've accrued and acquired, right? And earned rightly, to bigger artists like Coldplay or whoever the big artist, Taylor Swift, to get them to stay on the platform of Spotify. Now you tell me if that's ethical or not. And I don't want to hear it. I feel like there's so much stuff that we are okay with because it's business and it makes money. The way that we need to study, I mean, I'm sure it is already studied, right? Obviously. We study it because we witness it right now and I see it, right? The way that we excuse disgusting, violent, wrong behavior because the person who's doing the exploiting is rich and successful is weird. It's weird. There are people every day, where there are artists, on forums or Reddit or whatever, complaining about the state of the music industry, right? Whatever that is today. And there are always people who are never artists, by the way, or they are artists with the hopes of becoming rich and famous like a Taylor Swift, who say, well, that's the business. You just got to work harder. That's not how art works. Art isn't good because you work harder. Art is good because you feel something. There's good art that's lo-fi, right? That you don't need a whole mixing and mastering for. That's not what makes good music. And again, I ask those people, are you an artist? Do you like art? For real, right? Like, I feel like a lot of the stuff we like because we're taught to like it or because it's repetitive and they keep shoving it in our faces. But when you think of the songs that you love, that move you, it's not about the production quality, right? It's not about following a formula. Some of my favorite songs don't even follow a formula. Shout out to Frank Ocean. Frank Ocean does what he wants. Like Solange does what she wants. I love artists like that, right? Because I feel something. And they're not popping out something every year. But platforms like Spotify, YouTube, all these other places incentivize you to keep pushing out stuff. Because if you don't keep pushing out stuff, they're not going to share your art. They're going to punish you for not creating music like that. And for people like Daniel Ek, who believes that it costs artists nothing to make, of course he would then think, oh, well, duh, if it costs you nothing to make, then it must not cost you any time either. Every artist will tell you that's not the case. There are some times where a song comes to me like, bam, in a minute, and I'll get it and it'll be done, right? That's rare. Then I have to, because even after I get that down, I still got to edit it. I still got to re-record some parts. I still got to figure out how I want to present it, right? I still got to create the album art. There's still so much work to do beyond just singing. And I think that he thinks that because we have vocal cords, that's it. And that's all that's needed, or fingertips if you play a guitar or a piano or some other instrument. Shout out to the lap dulcimers. When I was younger, I learned how to play a lap dulcimer at a flea market with my parents, and it never left me. One day I'm going to get it again. But either way. Like, yeah, so you can't make a living on streaming services, and that is unethical. Why is it unethical? Because Daniel Ek has more than enough. He has hundreds of millions of dollars off of us, right? So it's unethical. And I don't want to work for any place or benefit any business, because at the end of the day, by adding my music to their platforms, I'm the one that's enriching their platform. I'm the one making it better. I'm the one making it a more pleasurable experience for their users, but I'm getting paid crumbs. I see that very clearly. I don't care what you got to say about that. You're not going to change my mind. It's wrong. And y'all know it's wrong. And again, the things that we let CEOs get away with because low-key you want to be the CEO who's exploiting people, that's a conversation between you and your soul. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Okay? Next. The other reason, which kind of goes back to the first reason, I'm not making a living from streaming services, right? One song could have taken a year to make, and after someone streams it, it isn't savored. Back in my day, I used to love buying albums. I used to go to Walmart and Barnes & Noble, Borders. Shout out to Borders, rest in peace. I used to go there, and they used to have like these headphones that you could listen to music before you buy it. And so you listen to it, and then you say, oh, period, I like that song, or I like these samples of songs. I'm gonna buy this album. Me, low-key, I would buy it because the album looked pretty. If you had an interesting album cover, I was in there. I discovered people like Chris Botti, Botti. He's a saxophonist, I believe, a jazz saxophonist. I found him live in Boston because of the cover of that album, which is stunning to me. And that's why I bought it. And I loved it. It was a good album. But that's how I buy a lot of my albums, right? And so I would buy the album, go home, listen to it over and over and over again, backwards and forwards. I was a person who would buy the actual, like the CD so I can read the thing enfolded, the paper, right? The lyrics, the thank yous, the contributions, the producers, the notes on the album. I love to savor my art. It's like savoring a meal. You know what I mean? And I feel like nowadays, we don't really do that anymore. Nowadays, it's like it's just like our food, right? Like back in the day, even I talked about this with somebody recently. I don't know if this is true. When you're a kid, everything is amazing. But do y'all remember the experience of going to sit down at a restaurant back in the 90s? The late 90s for me and early 2000s. It was different. There was a different quality of the food. There was a different quality of the service. And obviously, like, they're not getting paid enough. We know that. I know that. And I'm going to talk about that later. Because I realized I started this project called, what is it called? Whatever. It's about minimum wage jobs, working class. And so I'm going to be talking about the jobs that I've had. And one of them was serving. So I know that servers don't get paid a lot, and they didn't get paid a lot back then either. But there was a different feeling where I feel like even our servers were paid better, like on par, obviously with inflation and stuff like that. But like they were also treated with way more respect. And I feel like the respect of people and their creations and their craft and their jobs, the respect of humanity has gone out the window. And we have become so okay with people being destroyed and demolished under capitalism and white supremacist ideology and things like that, right? Like the pillars of white supremacy, which is brutality, right? And exploitation and theft. Like we actively work to defend these corporations who want to destroy us. And I don't understand that. Everything feels so cheap. So back in the day, like you used to savor your music. And while it's beautiful, the gatekeepers are gone. It's almost like Spotify became another gatekeeper. And that's where we are right now. And so just like how we had to, at the beginning of the internet, the beginning of the internet sounds wild. But at the beginning of the internet, like people selling stuff, right? I wasn't there, but shout out to MySpace, shout out to Zanga, shout out to all those early internet spaces, Blogspot, whatever. But like back in the day, there was something different spiritually that I feel like is not here anymore. So people cannot live. People are using the material of their lives to create art, like their very life force to create art. And we tell them it's okay to not have a livable wage, even though their music lifts our spirits and helps us to keep going, is the soundtrack to our lives. But we tell them they're not worthy or deserving a fair pay. How would you feel? And meanwhile, these are contractors. These are people working based on projects. Artists don't get no kind of health care. Artists don't get nothing, okay? When the pandemic hit as an artist, that was the most confusing time for government because they were trying to figure out, like, well, how do we pay these people? Because I didn't even, like, we are so forgotten. We are so forgotten. Artists are forgotten often, okay? And so you wouldn't like anybody coming to your job and telling your boss that you don't deserve any money. So why are you doing that to artists? That's weird. But yeah, so one song could have taken years to make, and someone streams it and it isn't savored. And I said, I'm proud of my work, and I want to be able to live off of my art. And I don't think that that's revolutionary. I don't think it's revolutionary for an artist to want to live off of their art. Just like a dentist should be able to live off of their dental work. A computer scientist should be able to live off of their projects, right? So an artist is doing labor, and it is laborious to create, even though it's fun. And I think that's the thing. People think that because art is fun, it's not hard. People think that because they enjoy art, that art is not hard to make or market or edit. Like there's so much labor that you'll never see that goes into creating the art that you love, right? But Daniel Ek is telling people, including other CEOs, that art is free. Basically, he's putting out a call to other CEOs to say, hey, if you want to get wealthy quick, just take advantage of artists. That's what we're all doing. Audible, take advantage of voiceover artists and use AI. Take advantage of writers, right? And gatekeep their art and their writing so that people don't have access to this in their libraries. Or Barnes and Noble, right? Like, just find an art. And it's like, it's so ironic. It's so funny to me because the entire world, including these CEOs, tell artists that they are nothing, yet all of them are making money off of artists. Do you realize that? YouTube CEOs, Spotify CEOs, Apple CEOs, they're all making money off of artists. But yet we are often told that artists are nothing. Artists don't deserve. Why do you think they push that narrative so heavily? Not for you to benefit. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about them. And they got you doing their dirty work for them. They got you bootlicking for them to get over on you too. Cause y'all don't see them bumping the prices for streaming every so often, every 6 months, every year. You think that money's going to the artists? It's not. They're taking advantage of you too. Yes. Okay, so I said that I'm torn, right? I'm torn because I was taught that Spotify, and it could be, right? That Spotify could be a great discovery tool. But now AI is taking over their platform. So we already talked about that, how they're using AI, right? Playlists are becoming overrun with AI artists, and it's feeding itself. They're feeding themselves. And also, let me also say this. For those who might be saying, oh, well, there's nothing wrong with AI artists. What do you think generative AI is using for their prompts to make art? I'll give you a second. Artists without our permission. I am so disappointed in Timbaland. Not that I know that man and I had any reason to like trust him at all, but I am so disappointed in him. As an artist, I really enjoyed Timbaland's productions. Timbaland. I really like his production. The way his mind works, genius, right? And then now he's creating AI artists to make money off of. And then using other artists as their prompts, as the material that the AI learns on. It's unethical, it's evil, it's wrong. And it's often done without the permission of the artist. There was this whole thing. I'm going to shout out to Hab O and shout out to Cam James. I'm going to put both of their videos below because they talk about Spotify and they talk about AI. And I really want you all to really understand and grasp how insidious this is. And I think they'll do a better job at explaining that. But yes. Okay, so as long as Spotify's get plays, they do not care. As long as people are logging in and signing up and paying their monthly fee and listening to their playlists or whatever, they don't care. And they put AI in those playlists because they know that we're just listening to it in the background, right? We're listening to the jazz while we sleep. We're listening to the focus, right? The focus playlist while we work, right? They know the habits of their consumers. And without your permission, they're giving you AI slop. For your $9 or $15, you get music that's not even real. This sounds so good to me. Doesn't that feel good? It doesn't, right? You feel played. You should feel played. You should feel disrespected. But anyway, because they're doing it under your nose. They're not even telling you about it. But yeah, Timbaland, basically, there was this whole forum. People were asking him, this is basically telling him this is stupid. This is disappointing. Like, I looked up to you, blah, blah, blah. And Timbaland, being the man that he is, oh, I don't, like, just like very prideful. That's my man voice. Then somebody asked him if he was using artists to train their computers, their bots on. And he said outrightly no. Come to find out, they did. And now that man's music and his genius belongs to their algorithms, belongs to their machines without his permission. And again, the links are below if you want to check out that, because that was sick. YouTube, right? YouTube specifically. I'm thinking about Spotify versus YouTube. And then I was like, well, I'm torn because Spotify could be a great discovery tool. They tell you, oh, Spotify is not for making money. Spotify is for people to find you. But people find you there and stay there. They're not, most people are just going to listen to you on the platform because they don't know. They don't know the real ramifications of this. They're not, the average consumer is not aware. You feel me? So then I said, well, what about YouTube? I do YouTube. I show up to YouTube, right? And sometimes I don't feel like showing up to YouTube either. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. YouTube sometimes can go kick rocks as well. It's the same thing, y'all. The same thing. Now they're incentivizing us to. They're trying to be like TikTok. You know how with TikTok you can send people gifts and like the thing and send it to the algorithm. They want us to do that here too. They're gamifying everything. Like, oh, here's some points for you. I subscribe to them. That means I want to see them. Why are you complicating everything? It's not that serious. Anyway, I'm sorry. I can go on for days, but I don't want this to be too long. We're already at 35 minutes and I have so many notes to get to. So let me hurry up and get through this. Okay. So YouTube could be a great discovery tool too. And folks could get a holistic view and introduction into who I am, right? I feel like Spotify is it's not great. Let me take that back. They say that Spotify is a great discovery tool. I don't think that's true. Not no more anyway. And I also feel like Spotify only shows one branch of who I am or one facet when I'm a multifaceted individual. People coming to YouTube and finding me because I talk about something, or because I review something, or because I talk about what I love, or because I talk about the process of creating. That really is a more holistic view of who I am. So I'm experimenting with hosting my music on YouTube and allowing people to purchase it on my website or on Bandcamp, which you can do. The links are below. And starting there. So I said Spotify loves AI playlists because it's just content. We talked about that earlier. It's just content on their platform. Less artists they have to pay. That's what they're trying to do. All this to say with the AI stuff, they're just doing this because they don't want to pay artists. That's it. So the AI artist that has 200 million listens every month, they don't have to pay that person because it's not real. It's them. They get to they get to pay themselves. I don't even know if they're going to pay themselves, but they don't have to put out any money. And so they're trying to, because they built, here we go, this is where we're going. They build these platforms off of artists just to starve the artists, right? And tell them they're not doing enough, to then make their platforms better and train their algorithms better just to dispose of us later on. And now you're going to have an AI machine. I don't know where Spotify is going with this, but it's the music is uninspired because it's not real. There's no spirit in it. There's no soul in it. It's just content. And I mean that. It's just filler. When you listen to these AI artists, it's just filler. There's nothing magical about them, but they have 200 million listeners every month. That don't even make no sense. And they just got started last year. Fishy, red flag. Okay. I feel like in order for artists to survive, we're going to have to get creative and make some interesting and hard choices as artists, i.e. releasing art on your own platforms, then on streaming services. I've thought about this too, and I've done this in the past, right, to test it. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but I'll release an album, put it here, let people listen to it, purchase it, and then later on put it on Spotify. Because the people who listen to my Spotify, I love them. Thank you all for listening, right? But I'm also prioritizing the people who actually support, listen to, share, buy my music, because that's how I get fed. That's how I get paid. You know what I'm saying? In real life, if there was no money, I wouldn't mind singing for free. I love singing. It's one of my favorite things to do, but I have to eat. Unfortunately, we are forced to live under this system. And because nobody wants to change it, because they like it and they want to be it, they want to win it, right? Nobody wants to change the system. So artists have to eat. And so people get really annoyed when artists sell things. I don't know why. People get very annoyed when artists put on programs and concerts and tours and podcasts and what is the word I'm looking for? Summits, all this stuff. Like, people get really upset with that, and people, oh, you're a scammer. Girl, they're trying to eat. Like, and also they care about what they're doing, hopefully, right? They're teaching a class. Like, as an artist, I've had to get very creative. I've taught classes on photography, on songwriting, on creativity in general. I've hosted sessions. I've hosted workshops. Like, I've gotten very creative because it's not lucrative to be a singer. It's not. Like, unless you find your niche, right? And your people who support you. Yeah. Like, which I'm still doing, by the way. I'm still growing as an artist. I'm still getting my foundation, you know? And so in the meantime, yeah, I'm going to be putting on other stuff. Yeah. I might be selling some things. Yeah. I might be selling merch. Yeah. Because I got to eat. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So releasing art on your own platform, then streaming services later, or withholding from streaming services altogether, strictly selling albums. Now that is revolutionary and scary, right? That's what I really want to do, to be honest with y'all. I just want to put my music out there, and if people want to buy it, they can buy it, right? But this whole having to compromise my living, my being well, just to be seen, maybe found on Spotify, is not worth it to me. But I've thought about like just strictly selling albums. Another option is releasing on Spotify and then touring or doing something else. So again, like I said, there are people who are touring, i.e. Mary J. Blige, in her boots dancing, who is tired of dancing because she wants to go home, but she can't because she doesn't have enough money because the contracts are wrong. And also because streaming. Everything is streaming. When you think about it, the music, our movies, TV shows. There's a show called Laser Wolf on Cartoon Network. I love the show. It is so black and it is so it's so very creative. I like cartoons. So Laser Wolf is a comfort show for me. I've been trying for forever to find season 2 on DVD so I don't have to stream from HBO Max. I'm tired of streaming. I want to own my stuff again, right? Like I want my stuff to be owned. I don't want to have to be connected to the internet to listen to my things when I'm paying every month. And then when you think about it, an album might be what, $19, $9, depending on where you get it from, i.e. Walmart, when I used to buy them from Walmart. You're paying $15 a month to not own anything. If you fail to pay 1 month, all your music is gone. All your movies are gone. They can just snatch it away from you, right? It doesn't feel good. And I want people to have my art. I want people to own my art. There's something in that transaction, in that exchange of like, hey, you're giving me money and I'm giving you my soul. I'm giving you the sounds of my soul and I can't eat. Anyway, okay, so I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm experimenting with ideas. These are just ideas. I want to feel respected for my work. Spotify CEO Daniel Ek says, the cost of creating content is close to zero. Content for a container, not art, content. And so what's frustrating is that these same people will make it hard for artists to make a living and then will do things like, oh, here's some tips and tricks to help you be discovered. Especially on places like Instagram and YouTube, right? Like, oh, here's some tips. Baby, I subscribed and followed the people I want to follow and subscribe to. You're showing me stuff I don't want to see. Right? Like, let's be serious. These computers are telling us what to watch. They're informing our taste. Right? A lot of people, I have to go to a subscription, a subscription page on YouTube to find people that I'm subscribed to. Something is wrong. Something is broken. Yeah. So I want to feel respected for my work. And so they give you tips and tricks, losing my train of thought. They give you, just, make a video every day, just release more often, right? That's why when people, we don't make albums anymore. Yeah. Because these platforms de-incentivizes people to make albums. Because what's the point? What's the point of spending $100,000 on an album since you think it's free? What's the point of spending all that money if you're only going to make back $3,000? You're out $97,000. That's a lot of money, especially for an artist where you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from. I live from faith to faith in my artist journey. I'm not even lying. Spirit provides for me. That's all I can say. I show up, I make my art, and bam, Spirit shows up. Period. Thank you. But like there's no guarantee. I don't get paid every Friday, right? Like or every other Friday. I don't get paid every month. I get paid per project. So people are starving. There are literal starving artists because these platforms and these CEOs starve them. There's always this conversation about like, well, don't be an artist. There's no money to be made. That's not true, obviously. If this person has $100 million, there's obviously money to be made in music. If the CEO of YouTube has millions of dollars, there's obviously money to be made in YouTube. They're hoarding the resources. They're thieves. So yeah, like just release more music more often when the real fix is pay artists more. That's it. That's all. He thinks it's free, Daniel Ek, because they're using AI artists. Miles Dale, right? So Jazz for Sleep was a playlist I was talking about, right? Miles Dale on Jazz for Sleep versus Renece, right? Like when I look it up, you can tell that there's a real person here. There's a bio, there's pictures there of me. There's different albums spaced out, right? There are tips and signs that you can tell that something is an AI artist, right? So they're going to platform, they're going to avoid paying someone like Miles Davis just to create the soulless music and get all the money and fake bios and stories. And instead of Miles Davis, they'll platform Miles Dale, which is a fake artist, by the way. Fake. And it's just like, you're making people pay for that? For fake stuff that they can make themselves? Honestly, if you can sign up for Suno, Suno, I don't recommend it, by the way. Don't do it. I shouldn't even told y'all the name. But you can make music there, but it's unethical because they're using other artists without their permission. Okay. So yeah, art costs. Human-made art costs a lot, actually. It costs time, life lessons, heartbreak, the work and effort it takes to develop the skill to make the music, right? It costs materials and tools, instruments, electricity, software, hardware, what do you call this? DAWs, right? Which is the things that people use on their computers to record their own music. DAW, D-A-W, right? It's a DAW. Subscription services. It costs me to host my music on Spotify. It costs me to just host my music on Spotify, let alone create it. So what is Daniel Ek talking about, even though he knows that artists have to pay someone either monthly or per project to get their project on their platform in the first place? How is that free? He knows it's not free. It's not even close to free, but that goes to show you he's not an artist and doesn't actually care about music or art. As long as he's making money, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. And I wrote down that they're worried more about being cost effective than actual art. Art is not cost effective. Art is not efficient, right? Art is not a machine. Art is alive. Art takes soil and organic matter, and you can't force it. It has its own thing. But these platforms, these CEOs want to control people. They want to, you know what I'm saying? Like they want to industrialize our creativity, and you can't do that. That's why they're all forcing us. That's why all your artists are burned out. All your favorite podcasters and YouTubers, and you're saying to yourself, where do they go? They're underfunded and they're burned out. Thank you, Post-it note. This is a great time to talk about podcasts. I used to have a podcast, or multiple podcasts, actually, on Anchor. ANCHOR. Anchor podcasts. Look it up. Used to be amazing. No matter how small your audience was, you used to get paid. You used to be able to get paid, right? And the pay was good. Say if 1,000 people listen to my podcast, I might make $100. That was good money to me. Okay. Then what happened? Spotify bought it, and I knew immediately it was downhill from there. I didn't even want. So Spotify podcasts used to be Anchor podcasts. Okay. Spotify acquires it, buys up Anchor, and now you can't get paid unless you meet their marker of success. Meanwhile, on Anchor, you didn't have to have a minimum listenership to make money. I did an ad for it once. You don't have to have a certain amount of listeners to make the money. They would just pay you based on who listened to it because that's ethical, right? Hello? And they were generous with their ads, and their ad was themselves. So anyway, it was a golden time. And so Spotify bought them and destroyed it. Now it sucks. All of my favorite podcasters are gone because they can't make any money because Anchor was paying them, right? And Spotify said, I'm going to buy you up so I can buy my competition and I can starve artists. These corporations want to force and coerce artists, twist their arm into creating for their livelihood. When if you just paid artists, you would have gotten more art. Imagine that. If artists had their needs met, you would get more art. Imagine that. If artists had healthcare, they'd be alive longer to make art. Imagine that. Right? So yeah, so that's what I want to say about the, and books. Thank you, Post-it. So books. Thank you, Alecia from the past. Spotify also is putting audiobooks on their platform, and you can listen to these audiobooks for free with their premium membership. How are these artists getting paid? How are the authors being paid? How are the voiceover artists being paid? If they're just streaming these books for free, these audiobooks for free on Spotify. And again, that sounds glorious to you as a consumer, but for the artist, it is hell. And that might be the last book you get from that author because they're not getting paid to write anymore, right? Bad repercussions all around. Okay. Okay, so for perspective, Daniel Ek made $345 million stolen wages. Got to put that in there. He made $345 million in stolen wages in 2022 to 2023, right? That is more than any artist on Spotify's platform has ever made. That includes Drake, Ed Sheeran, Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift. And I mention these people because these are the most streamed people on their platform. Daniel Ek is taking home more than any artist has ever made on his platform. In real life, think about this. In real life, a business person would tell you that's bad business. You need to reinvest that money into the business if you want your business to keep going. He said, I'm just going to pocket it myself. And you know how many streams it would take for someone to make that money on their platform? It would take 115 billion with a B. 115 billion streams to make $345 million. And Daniel Ek has never created one piece of art on Spotify. Not one. This is crazy. This is bizarre. This is twisted and sick. Right? Okay. So I'm infuriated at this point, right? Taylor Swift, who was a top streamed artist, had 76 billion streams. 76. And she's never made that much from her platform, from Spotify. And I remember when Spotify first came out, maybe not when it first came out, but early on in its creation, I remember Taylor Swift pulled her music from the platform because she also saw that she was being lowballed, right? That she wasn't going to be making music by streaming her music. Now her music is up there, but she's one of the artists that they're stealing from smaller artists and paying to keep her on their platform. So she went from being, I'm not gonna judge her. Let me not judge her. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Because in real life, yes, these artists have choice and they have power. Taylor Swift doesn't need Spotify. In real life, let's be serious. She doesn't need Spotify. Like, for her, it's good to have some pocket change coming in. But for most people, we're trying to make our daily living, our daily bread, right? So Taylor has choice. You know what I'm saying? Taylor does have choice. But I also understand it's still not her fault. It's the fault of these corporations. It's the fault of, if I was Taylor Swift, I would not be on Spotify. Just personally speaking, myself personally, what would I need them for? What would I need Spotify? Anyway, okay. So, yes. So Spotify's record profits are stolen funds from artists, even the smaller ones. Give me my 0.004 cent. Okay? If you allowing my music to be streamed, I need to be paid. If you're allowing someone to listen to my music, to come to your platform and pay you to listen to me, I need to be paid, right? Because I'm the reason why they're coming. Okay. The way we justify cruelty and theft because it's just business, and as long as you're making money, who cares, is never going to be gross, is never not going to be gross to me. We lose our soul and good morals. We know it's wrong, but feel powerless to stop it, so we let it be fine. They're using artists to line their pockets. Artists starve because people and corporations take advantage of them. Artists starve because even we want our own little artist in our back pockets. We're okay with keeping our artists in Spotify to sing for us at will, like on demand, right? Even if it means their starvation and destruction, right? It's convenience. And artists starve because people and corporations steal from them. I'm just one artist, a small artist, by the way, a lot of people who don't know, right? Who was loved on by so many of you kind people. But just imagine if we all stood up for what was right. If the bigger ones fought, i.e. Taylor Swift, they may notice. But I'm choosing to try, experiment, and ask for insight, even for folks that support me. So even if you have ideas, I'm willing to, I don't know what I'm doing, okay? I keep saying, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I love that. I love that, though. But sometimes it's scary and confusing, because what am I supposed to do now? If you have any ideas, please share them. But I'm going to continue because, again, it's getting long and I want to get this out. I want to be making music for a long time. I can't do that when I'm only being paid 0.004 cent a stream. Now with the CEO investing in AI weaponry, right? AI weaponry, and being the chairman, I don't like it. So apparently, not only is he investing money into weaponry, he's also the chairman of this weapon corporation. I could tell from his business practices that his heart was wicked and evil, but I can definitely see it now. That man don't care nothing about nothing except money. And when you don't care nothing about nothing except money, you're a dangerous person. When you don't care nothing about nobody but money and access and fame and clout and esteem, right? You're a dangerous individual. You will do anything. You will consume anybody. You will off anybody. Anything, it doesn't matter because you're trying to be, you're so ambitious, you're blind. You're so ambitious, you're blind. I'd much rather my money come back to my pockets than destroying life itself. So not only am I being starved, but now you're using my money, my music to unalive people. I was about to say something else, but I'm trying to be to unalive people. You're using my music that is supposed to be sharing love and life and hope and lament, right? You're using that to unalive people, cowardly also, from the comfort of your own home, and you're okay with being on the chair of that? Yeah, no, I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't want nothing to do with you. Yeah, like I'd much rather my money come back to my pockets than destroying life. I want my music to bring life, encourage living. Well, then what is there to do, right? Spotify went from a hopeful platform for artists to being a graveyard for actual musicians. Anchor, the podcast platform, was gobbled up by Spotify and stopped indie podcasters from making money and giving and made them give up their podcasts. Excuse me. So them acquiring Anchor made the podcaster, the speaker, the griot, right? The storyteller, the encourager, give up their podcast and their work. I really believe the acquisition of a lot of these companies are just trying to directly kill the artist. I really do. Because why would you shoot yourself in your own foot, right? Obviously, slavery is the model for everything in America. But honestly, with all this technology, they can hear directly from us. They can hear our complaints. And they obviously don't care because they're moving in the opposite direction. Remember when Instagram used to be based on who posted last, like the most recent post of the person you follow, the people you follow, chronological order, right? And when they changed it, everybody was frustrated because where are the people I follow? I can't even find, who are these random people now? What is this? What is going on? Every time we complain, they didn't listen. Now what's happening? No, a lot of people don't like Instagram anymore. It's not fun anymore. You have to work too hard now. And TikTok came in and swooped in and took advantage of that. Oh, Instagram is too hard, you say, huh? Well, TikTok will accept you whatever you got on. A bonnet. It don't care about a production value. We don't care nothing about no grids. It doesn't matter, right? They're all taking advantage of each other and us. And it's all the same thing, right? We're being fed to these organizations and these corporations to learn new information about people so they can use it to sell us stuff, but also to obviously harm other people, other nations in the world, right? Like, okay, so indie podcasters went from being prolific. There are podcasts that I mourn because they no longer exist because of money. There was this golden era in like the mid 2010s. I would listen to so many podcasts in my house while I'm editing. I was a photographer. So I would edit photos and I would listen to, avocado something. I would listen to the Friend Zone. And some of these are still in production because they have money, right? But for the smaller podcasts, they're gone. Things I love tuning into every week, just gone. Because Spotify ate them up. And so we want to believe that competition breeds creativity. That's obviously not true. And gobbling up corporations is obviously the exact opposite of competition. So like, y'all can't double speak me. That don't make no sense. By gobbling up other competition, you're destroying the competition, making it easier for you to win. And all these corporations win not because they're better platforms, but because they're better at being evil and deceptive and misleading and uncaring and greedy. That's it. These corporations win because of their greed. Okay. Whew. Yes. We used to get paid. Now we get nothing as podcasters. So even with my podcast, I'm not getting paid for that on Spotify, so I put it here, but I do want to go back to that because I do miss that. I miss just being able to talk into a mic and not have to show my face. I miss being able to be imperfect, in a way that YouTube doesn't like. A lot of the social media exhausts me. I don't like the super editing, the super polish. I don't like having to be on my P's and Q's. I don't like it. I don't like having to perform. That's what it is. I don't like performing. And these platforms make you perform and tap dance for pennies. For pennies. It can feel like these companies lure in artists and starve us so that we don't have longevity in the creation of music or podcasting or whatever it is that we're doing, right? So that they can own all of it. That's the point. These corporations want to own all of it, all of the music, all of the movies. They're not inventive. They're not ingenious. They're not creative. They're thieves. I realize a lot of what's very clear to me is a lot of businesses are profitable and successful. And I use that very loosely because that's not my definition of success. If you got to starve out people to be successful, you're not successful. Okay. You're a cheater. You're a thief. You're a murderer. Okay. So like a lot of these businesses that we applaud, like, oh my gosh, they're so smart. They're just brutal. When you think about grocers, right? Grocers make money because they hoard food from people. In real life, naturally, there's food that grows out here. I'm from the DMV area. There's food that grows out here, right? Naturally. Naturally, in its season. And we have people who hoard the earth from us, even though we are earth, and then sells us back what was freely ours in the first place. That's not a good businessman. You're a thief. That's like somebody stealing your shoes from your house and then selling them to you for like $100. That's all these corporations do is steal. Like they're not excellent. They're not like what? Like I don't like that that's the measure of success. I'm gonna read y'all a poem later because I wrote about that. I hate that the measurement of success is money. I hate that. I hate that money runs so much of our lives. And because of money, we allow so much evil to slip by just because it's profitable. If you have to steal from somebody, that's not profit. That's theft. That's stuff you stole. It's hard living in America because every day you're gaslit. Every day, multiple times a day. Someone is telling you that your destruction is good for you. Every day. And you can't even see how you defending these evil corporations is also stealing the land from under your own feet. They know no end. They won't stop. You think they're just going to stop at music and movies? They're not stopping at housing, clean water, fresh air. They're not stopping at anything. Anything they can get their hands on, elements that they can get their hands on, is how they make money because they're not actually profitable. They don't actually bring anything beneficial to anybody. They steal stuff and sell it back to you. That's it. The music exists, but they've monopolized where we can put our music at. Right? Okay. Yeah, it's just corporate greed. It's just at the end of the day gonna end. But no, it's corporate greed. These are not artists, these CEOs. These are not patrons of the arts or even curators. This is theft, enslavement, and greed. We shifted from the possibility of making an actual living online as musicians to then settling on it simply being a discovery tool. So Spotify was presented to artists like, this is a way to make money, to live, to thrive, to survive. And now they're changing their language, which is what enslavers and evil people do, right? They say, oh, this is for your good now. Even though I'm starving you for your own good. And if you can't hack it, that's your fault. You're a failure. No, it's a rigged game. And they're bringing on AI artists. They don't want you to succeed. Anyway. So then we got gaslit. We got tricked, bamboozled. we were led on to believe that this would be a wonderful tool for us to be able to make money as musicians and to be able to, present when we go on tour, when we have concerts and stuff like that. And then they switched up on us and said, okay, now you're not going to be able to make money. Okay, you're not going to be able to make money, even though you pay us to put your music on here. But what you can do is be discovered, even though we're not going to put you in any playlists. Okay. And if you want to be discovered, you have to pay for an ad. And then on top of that, if we're also going to put AI artists in the same playlists that you wanted your music in, but it's for your good. Good for you. Instagram, same thing. The CEO, he be getting it. Okay. And I love that he be getting it because I love watching the comments. I love commiserating with people. I do. Because people be evil and wrong. And it feels good to know that I'm not crazy. Okay. And I'm not alone. But the CEO of Instagram was basically telling people recently, like, oh, if you want to be found, just do more reels, do more for less, do more for attention, not money, not food, not shelter, do more to be discovered and then have something to sell them, right? Because we're not going to pay you. Even though we're making billions of dollars off of you and your likeness and your dance moves and your creativity and your genius, we're not going to pay you. Tell me how that is ethical. Tell me how that makes sense. Unless you're evil, right? The only way that makes sense is that you're greedy. You're a greedy pig. That's the only way that makes sense. Or unless you want to be the CEO. Again, what's very obvious to me, and I talked about this the other day in one of my other podcasts, but like, I realized, I made this video a while ago called, I gave up Black excellence, and people were upset, honey. Okay, people were upset. But then on top of that, I realized that people A lot of people were upset with me because they wanted their time in the sun. They wanted to be the slave owner. They didn't want people to be free, right? They wanted to own people. They wanted to have their chance at winning, no matter what it costs, And that is scary. That scared me because I thought we wanted to be free. I thought we hated the system, okay? But yeah, so, yeah. So it went from being a discovery tool to trying to get onto playlists to now no longer being discoverable because we're buried under AI. People are always telling artists that what they make is profitless. That makes no sense. Amazon, Spotify, Etsy, Apple, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. All these platforms use creatives to run and make all their money. So they're still in business. So somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. Okay? Someone is lying to you. If artists are so silly, why are there so many businesses making millions and billions by simply hosting them, i.e. exploiting them? If artists are so unprofitable, then why do corporations go out of their way to take advantage of us so often? Why do they all take advantage? Because artists are profitable and they're stealing from them. Because artists are profitable and they are stealing from them. Slavery is our business model in the States. Nothing has changed. We're taught to look down on the ones actually bringing the wealth and bootlick the corporations doing the enslaving. Spotify was my discovery tool, but now YouTube may be, for now. Even though YouTube is still underpaying people, please do not get it confused. YouTube is not, okay? YouTube is not paying people what they're worth. They're not. They're not. And so as I discover a new way to get my music out there, for it to be discoverable and for it to be profitable, for now, I think hosting my music on YouTube is enough for right now. Unless you all have any other ideas. I wanted to go back to SoundCloud. I used to love SoundCloud. Now SoundCloud is using AI as well, which means that they're going to use your music to practice their AI on. Where can we go? If you can't go to Bella Noches, for real, where can you go? Oh yeah, I wrote a post-it to myself. If you don't have 1,000 streams, I said this already, your money goes to bigger artists to incentivize them to stay. So your money could end up in the pockets of your favorite artists or their label execs, because let's even be clear about that. I don't know about Taylor Swift, but a lot of artists, right? Before they get paid, their label has to get paid. The CEOs got to get paid first, and they get pennies. So they get pennies. They get fractions of pennies of fractions of pennies. These artists. So it ain't all sunshine and lollipops and rainbows for them either, right? It's just another person that's gatekeeping, another person making money off of exploiting artists. And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. But I think I said all I wanted to say. Making sure. Okay, yeah. I think I said all I wanted to say. I'm thinking about taking my music off of Spotify, off of Apple, I don't know. It just feels icky. It feels, like it feels like my music is being pimped out for profit I'll never see, Excuse me, I almost burped. My voice almost cracked. But it feels like my essence is just out there, and I just want to pull my energy back. I don't know how to explain that feeling. It feels so yuck, I don't know, but shout out to Kara or Kara, shout out to Heb O, shout out to Cam James, shout out to all the artists out there who are just trying to make it, y'all. Every time we try to figure it out, here they go again, messing up stuff. There's so many artists, and there's nothing wrong with it either, getting a job, right? But there's so many artists stepping away from artistry to just work because that's something they can rely on. And I don't blame them. And I'm like, if I was a whiz kid, maybe I can figure out a way. And I think that's what I want to do. I want to figure out a way that artists can make money where they don't have to sell their souls. They don't have to pimp themselves out, so to speak, right? Like they don't have to pimp themselves out for somebody else's profit. You feel me? I don't like that. I hate that everything is a slavery model, that everything is a pimping model, and we're so okay with that. And I don't understand that. Y'all not disgusted? Y'all not grossed out I am. And especially in these times, they don't want artists to win. They don't want us to be able to speak our truths. They don't want, especially indie artists who don't have to ask permission of a label before they say something controversial. Of course they want to silence us. Right? Most revolution comes from a small voice in the back somewhere. You feel me? Like it ain't the people on the main stage. The people on the main stage usually fund the people who are speaking the truth, right? Like when I think of the civil rights movement, I think about how artists, even if they couldn't say anything publicly, they were still funding the freedom riders. They were still funding the speakers, right? They were still putting their money where their heart was, even if they couldn't speak because of corporations. I don't know that we're doing that anymore. I feel like everybody is out to win for themselves, and I feel like everyone's desperate and tired. You know, we're tired. But yeah, so that's why my music is not on Spotify right now. I might change my mind. I might not. I don't see. I want to believe. And I want to find out that I can make a living with my art without having to destroy myself. Shout out to Marissa Price. She and Dr. Kimani put on a summit called Job Liberation Summit. And I had the pleasure and the opportunity, the honor of speaking at the summit twice. Bless y'all, because y'all doing God's work. And setting Black women free. And I put the link below, if I can find the link for the Job Liberation Summit. I believe you can still purchase the replays, I think. But I'll double check. But in my talk, you know, I was talking about art and how even with my creative process, I thought that it had to be hard to count. I thought that I had to hustle and grind or whatever. And one thing Marissa Price said, and it stuck with me, and I hold on to it as an affirmation and confirmation of what my soul knows, but it goes against what society tells us. Society tells us, right, to work hard, to grind yourself into a pulp, to enslave yourself for your living, for your eating, for your respect even. And one thing Marissa said was like, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I can't remember it word for word, but it was stunning. And it was, your destiny, your whatever it is, your craft, your art is not going to cost you your life. It's not, you're like, and I want to expound on that. Like, your creativity shouldn't have to destroy you. You're creating. Why is it that when you create, you're destroyed? That doesn't make any sense. Of course, when you create, there's something that you give and you get it back later on, right? There's energy in creating, right? But it shouldn't destroy and deplete you. You know? You sharing a song or a book should not cost you your livelihood, should not cost you your dignity, should not cost you a meal. If anything, you're adding so much beauty to this world that's gray and drab and isolating and sad and scary. You know, you're adding so much escape for people who don't have an escape otherwise. I escape into a book all the time. It's my bookshelf. You know, like when I want something, I can watch it. I can watch a documentary. Bless the people who go on hiking, who go on hikes and record themselves and allow me to see them hiking and discover new places to go. Bless the folks that are creating the music and the writing and the podcasts. Bless the artist. Bless the artist who is always exploited, who is always picked on and picked apart by society and by the corporations, the powers that be. Bless them. Free them. Free them from bondage. Free them from slavery. There are so many works of art we will never see. And that makes me so sad. There's so many works of art we will never see because of capitalism. Because Daniel Ek is more concerned with his pockets and warfare than artists being able to live and eat and be at peace and be able to feel safe. The feeling that artists create for other people, they never get to experience. And that makes me so sad. The safety, the warmth, the joy that artists bring, that griots bring, storytellers bring, healers bring, right? Like, whole time they're fighting the war that's trying to destroy them so that you can't even get what you need. It's evil, y'all. And I can feel it. And it makes me grieve. It grieves me. Because it shouldn't have to be this hard. In real life, it's not this hard. Creating is not hard. There are hard parts. It is difficult, but it's not hard. and they make it hard, and they almost make it where you don't even want to do it anymore. I felt that. I've honestly lately I've been feeling like giving up. I feel like giving up YouTube and giving up, because what's like, not what's the point as in like it doesn't make me happy to do. Of course it makes me happy to do, right? But I gotta eat. And I don't like pointing people to Patreon. I don't like having, you know what I'm saying? I feel like what I'm doing here is enough. This video was 76 minutes long so far. I'm going to have to edit this, right? I'm going to have to upload it and do all the things, find a thing. Like, there's so much work that goes into this. And then marketing it. It's just like, I don't then want to have to say, hey, sorry, y'all, I'm not getting paid from this video. Can you please come to Patreon? Like, low key, I wish I didn't have to have a Patreon. That's a whole other conversation. I hate the society we live in. I hate it. Hate it. Hate how it treats the least of us. And I mean least of us as in like least paid. Because the least of us, to be clear, they're the best of us. The people I'm going to put that video below too. There's no such thing as there's no such thing as a limited skill job or a low skill job. That doesn't exist. People who get paid the least do the most. Okay? I talked about my little stint at McDonald's. It wasn't little. I stayed there for years. Okay. Tried and true. The Golden Arches. I worked there for years, and I have never been so disrespected, underpaid, overworked, exhausted. I've never been that exhausted. Carrying things, restocking things, talking to customers who want to spit in your face because their coffee has one cream too many. Like, and because you are the least of these, they treat you the worst. They treat you, again, because of slavery, they treat you like a servant, not a person. So artists are in that category because of how we're taught to look at artists. Not because of, you know what I'm saying? Healers, customer service representatives, teachers, bus drivers, the folks with the lay people, social workers, hello, paraprofessionals, right? Like, they're the most underpaid, but we need them the most. We are underpaying people who feed us, and we got to eat every day, multiple times a day. Are we okay? We're not okay. That obviously, every time I ask that, it's a hype. What is the word? Oh my gosh, why can't I? It's not hyperbole. That's not the word I'm looking. And y'all gonna tell me what the word is. Hypothetical. English. English. But yes. Thank you for listening to me. And I hope that you as an artist feel seen. If this is you, I feel you. If you need permission, listen, use me. I'm going to be experimenting with some things. So y'all might see some new stuff around here. I don't know. Again, I don't know what I'm doing, y'all. I'm an artist trying to figure it out every day and being brave enough to put my foot out there and be like, okay, let's dip in and see what this feels like. You know, and I think that's a part of the process. It's not pass or fail. Like, as we've been taught to believe it is, it's, oh, let me try this thing. Oh, I like this, or I don't like this. Okay, period. I got information. I'm going to take that information and move forward. That's it. It's not life or death, right? But eating is life and death, okay? And so I'll be experimenting and sharing my journey with you all on being an artist that doesn't use streaming platforms. And that does put me at a disadvantage in a lot of ways. Again, discoverability, the ease and access of somebody finding me, right? There being a paywall for some people who want to purchase my music. What else? If people aren't on YouTube, they won't find, you know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, or even having my music on TikTok or Instagram, right? I need to figure out a way to upload it to there without it having to be on a streaming platform. It's just a lot. It's a lot. And hopefully, if you didn't know about this, hopefully you have more insight. Hopefully I've done some of this justice. And again, I'll put the other links to the other videos below so you can go on an even deeper dive. They have all the facts, okay? Habbo, Cam James and them, Cara, they got all the facts, all the numbers, all the things. I just have the thoughts. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for buying my music. Thank you for listening. Thank you for streaming. Even if you listened on Spotify, thank you. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate that. I'm not telling you to abandon it, because there are other artists who need your listenership. There are other artists who need your support, and I still need your support, right? But I think from here on out, I'm gonna leave. Maybe I'll leave the music. This is a thought. Maybe I'll leave the music up there that's up there right now, and then here forward, they'll have to find me for the rest. And maybe I'll put my website in the bio so people can find me on my website. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I would much rather spend my time and energy just creating and sharing with y'all. But I'm also spending some of that energy trying to survive. Trying to thrive. Not just survive, but thrive. And once I go figure it out, y'all, I'm going to bring it back. And I'm going to bring it back as I learn. Because y'all don't have to suffer either. You know, why should I thrive and y'all shouldn't? You feel me? So anyway, I think that's all. I think my thoughts are complete. I believe. Yeah. Okay. Until next time, y'all. And if not, I'll make a part 2. Just thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for championing me. And thank y'all just for being good people. All right. Much love, much joy. Until next time. Bye.